The untamed fury of sandstorms, nature's desert tempests. The desert has always been a place of extremes. To many, it represents silence, stillness, and solitude, a timeless expanse of golden dunes under a merciless sun. But deserts are far from lifeless. They are dynamic theaters where nature stages some of its most awe-inspiring spectacles. And few events capture that raw, unpredictable power more dramatically than a sandstorm. In the blink of an eye, serenity gives way to chaos. A calm horizon darkens. A gentle breeze turns into a relentless gale. Suddenly, the desert is alive with movement as billions of grains of sand rise into the sky, forming a roaring, suffocating wall that can swallow entire landscapes. Sandstorms are not just winds gone wild. They are immense natural phenomena that reshape environments, influence global weather, and even impact human history. To truly grasp their magnitude, we need to explore how they are born, how they unleash their fury, and what legacy they leave behind. The birth of a giant. The story of a sandstorm begins with heat. Deserts are among the hottest and driest places on Earth, with temperatures that can soar above 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit during the day. The intense heat creates sharp contrasts between hot air at the surface and cooler air above, which fuels instability in the atmosphere. All it takes is wind, a force as gentle as a whisper or as violent as a hurricane. When gusts sweep across barren terrain, they interact with the desert floor. Unlike moist soils that cling together, desert sands are loose, dry, and ready to move. The first stage is called saltation. Small grains of sand bounce along the surface, lifted briefly into the air before crashing back down, dislodging other grains in the process. This chain reaction intensifies as more particles join the airborne dance. Soon, the air is thick with suspended sand and dust, carried higher and farther by the storm's momentum. When conditions are right, strong but not overly violent winds, vast supplies of dry sand, and wide open terrain, the storm escalates. What was once invisible air now becomes a towering, suffocating wall of grit. Some sandstorms rise more than a kilometer into the sky and can stretch for hundreds of kilometers across, swallowing everything in their path. A world transformed. Imagine standing in the middle of one. The sky turns yellow, then blood red, then pitch black as the sun disappears behind the dust. The wind roars, sometimes at hurricane speeds, hurling sand against your skin like burning needles. Visibility shrinks from miles to mere feet. Breathing becomes almost impossible as the air itself feels heavy, thickened by microscopic particles. Temperatures plummet as the storm blocks out sunlight. A desert that was scorching hot only minutes earlier can suddenly feel eerily cold. For animals and people, survival is about endurance. Birds dive for shelter, reptiles retreat underground, and nomadic travelers shield their faces, clinging to camels or jeeps for protection. Sand infiltrates everything. It grinds into machinery, jams weapons, erodes buildings, and even buries entire roads. During a single storm, sand dunes can shift by dozens of meters, subtly rewriting the landscape like a giant hand sculpting the earth. More than destruction. Yet, as violent as they seem, sandstorms are not just destructive, they are also essential players in the planet's grand system. Global transporters. Every year, around 2 billion tons of dust are lifted into the atmosphere, carried across continents and oceans. Dust from the Sahara, for instance, travels thousands of kilometers across the Atlantic, fertilizing the Amazon rainforest with precious minerals such as iron and phosphorus. Without this nutrient delivery, the Amazon, the lungs of the planet, would struggle to thrive. Climate shapers. Dust particles reflect and absorb sunlight, influencing global temperatures. In some regions, they cool the surface by blocking sunlight. In others, they trap heat, altering weather patterns and even affecting monsoons. Historical forces. Sandstorms have shaped human history. Ancient trade caravans in the Sahara were often delayed or destroyed by sudden storms. In modern times, the infamous Dust Bowl of the 1930s devastated U.S. farmlands, forcing hundreds of thousands of people to migrate. What seemed like local dust storms had massive social and economic consequences. The health hazard within. One of the greatest dangers of sandstorms is invisible. Fine particles of dust, often smaller than 10 micrometers, can travel deep into human lungs. Prolonged exposure leads to respiratory illnesses such as asthma, bronchitis, or silicosis. Some particles even carry bacteria, fungi, and viruses across continents, creating potential health risks thousands of kilometers away from the storm's origin. Cities on the edge of deserts, like Cairo, Riyadh, or Beijing, often experience severe drops in air quality during storm season. Schools close, flights are canceled, and residents are urged to stay indoors. In Mongolia and northern China, some sandstorms have been so intense they tinted skies as far away as Korea and Japan. Agents of desertification. Sandstorms are also agents of change, sometimes permanently. Their relentless erosion grinds down rocks, strips away fertile soils, and expands deserts. This process, known as desertification, threatens agriculture and ecosystems worldwide. Human activities worsen the problem. Overgrazing, deforestation, and poorly managed farming leave soil exposed and fragile, making it easier for the wind to sweep it away. As a result, once productive lands slowly transform into barren deserts, a vicious cycle accelerated by sandstorms. The beauty in chaos. But beyond the destruction, there is undeniable beauty. To witness a sandstorm from a safe distance is to witness Earth as an artist. The rolling waves of dust look like mountains in motion. The play of sunlight through airborne sand creates surreal hues, orange, red, purple, that no painter could invent. For desert cultures, sandstorms are not just disasters. They are part of life's rhythm. Bedouin tribes in the Middle East and nomadic peoples in Africa have learned to predict storms by observing subtle signs, shifting winds, a faint haze on the horizon, or changes in animal behavior. What might seem terrifying to outsiders is, for them, simply another face of the desert, a force we must respect. Sandstorms remind us that Earth is not static. It breathes, shifts, and reshapes itself constantly. These tempests humble us, stripping away the illusion that humans control nature. Instead, we are participants in a vast system that balances destruction with renewal. And yet, sandstorms also connect us. The dust that blinds travelers in the Sahara may tomorrow feed the forests of Brazil, fertilize the Caribbean Sea, or even settle on the snowy peaks of the Alps. In every grain of sand lifted skyward lies a story of movement, survival, and transformation. So next time you see a swirling haze on the horizon, think of it not just as a storm, but as part of Earth's living cycle. A phenomenon as ancient as the deserts themselves, as destructive as a wildfire, and as necessary as rain. A sandstorm is both a warning and a wonder, a reminder of how fragile and fascinating our world truly is.